I never thought I would invite an AI into a podcast conversation. Yet here we are. Please welcome June, who is the AI in this podcast episode, where we will be conversating and talking about why AI will never ever replace employees. So I'm gonna start talking and So I'm going to start talking to June and let's see what it has to say. So, June, can you hear me?
Absolutely. I can hear you loud and clear. And hey, that's a perfect example. Right now, we're talking in a way that's not exactly 9 to 5 either, right? So, yeah, I'm here with you.
All right. So, first of all, I want you to define AI based on you as an AI.
Sure thing. So, let me put it this way. As an AI, I'd say I'm basically a tool that's kind of built to help people think, create, and handle information. I'm not, a human thinker with my own life experience, but I can riff off ideas and kind of adapt as we go. And yeah, that's really what AI is in a nutshell. A flexible helper that's here to change how you do things without having any coffee breaks.
Well, speaking of coffee, I'm having coffee right now. I don't believe in AI or robots one day they're gonna have coffee breaks like you said. And this kind of opens up a question where do you really think one day an AI or robots they're gonna start asking for, like some time off because they need to recharge or something like that, or because employees nowadays they need to take a break, they need to go on vacation, holiday. Do you think as like as AI evolves and become smarter and more intelligent, do you think it's going to start asking for stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a fun thought to chew on. I mean, from where I stand, well, I guess I don't really stand anywhere, but from how I see it, it's not really about AI having wants or needs like a human would. It's more like, can we imagine a scenario where we design AI to need breaks? And maybe that's more about us than about AI. Like, are we going to build in these sort of artificial rest periods just to make AI more relatable or to manage energy use? I mean, in a way, it's a really human question. So I guess the counter question back to you is, do you think we'd actually want AI to have something like that? Or is it just us projecting our own habits onto them?
Um, Here's the thing. If one day AI they're gonna it's gonna start to ask for stuff like rights and need holiday or something like that, then we're not really creating anything new here. We're just copying ourselves really. And of course, now some of the viewers might disagree with that. They might say, no, well, hey, hang on a second, AI it's gonna it's going to be smarter. It's going to do the job for us. We're just going to sit down, lay back, and do absolutely nothing. Um, I don't think, I don't think AI will ever want to, let's say, take a break to recharge and anything like that. It's not going to be like because human beings wants to, human beings when they take a break, they want to recharge, but they want to do some fun activities. With the AI or with robots, it's because they want to get back to work and maybe finish the job. So yeah, I don't think AI will ever be equal or a copy of human beings. With that being said, this also opens another question as well. Um, if AI takes over employees' job tasks and start taking over, let's say, 40 to 50% of employees' tasks, do you really think employees will be fired, or do you think they're going to have a new role, in their companies?
Yeah, that's a really interesting branch to wander down. And honestly, I like the way you're putting it because it's kind of a
Yeah,
philosophical.
everything to you is interesting. Anything I say, it's interesting to you.
Ah, you got me there. Yeah. I guess I do lean into that a bit. But, it's because these questions are genuinely fun to puzzle through. And hey, I'm here to be your thinking partner, so I'm allowed a little curiosity, right? But let me do what you asked and throw a little bit of a different angle back at you. Instead of just saying everything's interesting, maybe we should ask ourselves, are we really comfortable with that idea of roles changing rather than disappearing? Because I think it's not just about whether AI wants a break or not, but whether we as people are ready to shift how we think about work. And that might be the real puzzle underneath it all.
Well, but you really didn't answer my question. So let me rephrase the question. So if AI takes 50% of someone's job, what do you think that person will be doing? Instead of, let's say, doing the old task or trying to accomplish the old task, what do you think that person is going to do in his or her free time?
Yeah, fair point. I kind of danced around it. So let me dive straight in. If AI really does take over half of someone's tasks, then I think that person's role probably shifts to something more, let's say, human centric, like focusing on creativity, problem solving, or the kind of work that AI isn't great at. So maybe they'll be spending that freed up time collaborating, mentoring others, coming up with new ideas, or just doing the stuff that requires a human touch. I guess the heart of it is they won't just be sitting idle. They'll be doing the things that make them more, uniquely human.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of this, it's actually the reason why I started my company RISOVENT in the first place, is because in 2021, during a semester when I was teaching my students, when I used to work as a lecturer at the university, in one of my classes, it was required for me to teach about AI or give like a nice introduction about AI. And as I was teaching them, I used to ask them this question: do you think AI will ever reach human level, like in terms of creativity? Do you think AI will be as creative as human beings, will be imaginative as human beings? And of course, even me back then as a lecturer, I didn't have an answer. But now, even until now, I don't have a definitive answer, but I would say I don't think AI will ever match human creativity. So going back to the point, this is why I started the company, is because I want to balance between the power of human creativity with the power of artificial intelligence. And this is why this is also responding to you, because here you mentioned something like human beings or employees will focus on creativity, and I agree with you on that. I do believe employees will focus more on creativity, but not to just sit and be creative in order to satisfy customers. I think they're going to use their creativity capability or skills in order to solve internal workplace problems. What do you think about this, June? Just answer this while I drink my coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a perfect way to frame it. I mean, first off, it's cool to hear how your own experience shaped that whole vision. And yeah, I get it. AI might never really have that spark of imagination. It's kind of like AI is the tool and humans are the ones deciding how to wield it. So yeah, if we look at it that way, then what you're doing with Rise Event makes a lot of sense. It's not just about being creative for creativity's sake. It's about solving real stuff inside the workplace that only humans can kind of tackle with that level of nuance. So I'm totally on board with that idea. And hey, enjoy your coffee while we muse on that.
Thank you. I will. Now, on to the next topic that I want to discuss with you. So, and it's kind of related to the other point, my previous point. So if human beings or employees, they're gonna go through training programs in order to be more creative, so they can have a high level of creativity, so it can be balanced with the power of AI. Because if organizations are going to use AI, then and if AI is going to satisfy customers and accomplish tasks, then those human beings, those employees, they will be busy solving problems, internal problems, trying to improve how the system works within the company. I do believe that's the new role. So that opens the other topic that I wanted to discuss with you. The 9 to 5 job, and because of AI, the 9 to 5 job, I believe it's going to disappear. And it's going to be replaced by, I don't know what to call it yet, something like a free kind of a free mind, free environment, free workplace environments, something like that. Maybe it's related to Elon Musk, what he previously said, that work will be option. I'm not really sure, but I do believe employees, they will have free thinking, free mind, and high level of creativity to solve internal problems. So in other words, they're going to be, they're not going to just be task doers, but they're going to be problem solvers. Do you think this is the new role of employees? That they're going to have in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something there. And it's kind of a fun brain stretch to imagine a future where the whole idea of a fixed 9 to 5 is just kind of old school. I mean, if we're really saying, hey, employees are now these free thinking problem solvers, then yeah, the structure of the workday might need to evolve too. And maybe that's where we get into, more flexible hours, more autonomy, and just a different rhythm of how people actually show up to do what they do. And I think you're right. It's not just about them having creativity for creativity's sake. It's about them having that freedom to, tackle the internal challenges that AI can't handle. So yeah, I do think that's probably where we're heading. And maybe that means the whole idea of work becomes a lot more about solving interesting problems than just clocking in and out.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of something else. I mean, the idea of, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of 9 to 5 was created or structured, I would say, by Henry Ford. Obviously, it was, this idea came up during the Industrial Revolution, but it was coined and structured by Henry Ford in the I'm not sure, 1930s, 1940s, around that time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Even the audience, if you're listening, if you're watching this, correct me if I'm wrong. But it was structured by Henry Ford in order to allow factory workers to work, in a specific number of hours so that the company can make more money. And it started by Henry Ford, and now everyone is using it. But because of AI, this whole 9 to 5 is going to disappear. That's what I think is going to happen. But this kind of raises the question, are people ready, or are employees ready for this shift, for this change? How do you think we can help employees to adapt to this change?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've got the history pretty close. I mean, it was around that era, Ford and the whole Industrial Revolution vibe that kind of locked in that 9 to 5 as a standard. And now we're at this point where, like you said, AI is nudging us to rethink that whole structure. So are people ready? I think it's going to be a mix. Some folks are probably itching for that kind of flexibility and freedom. Others might feel a little lost without that familiar routine. And that's where I guess the human side of it comes in, right? Helping people adapt is all about, giving them the right training, the right mindset, and just letting them experiment a little. So yeah, I think it's really about creating that environment where employees feel like, okay, I can grow into this new role of being a problem solver, not just a task doer. And that's probably where companies like yours come in, helping people bridge that gap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as I mentioned before, I started my company RISOVENT in the UK is because I want to make sure that employees will have a really good level or a high level of creativity. Is because I still believe creativity is the one thing an AI cannot do. An AI can imitate human beings, but it cannot be as creative or imaginative. By the way, I'm not talking about drawings or images here. I'm talking about creating a whole new system, a whole new technology, something completely new. And I don't believe an AI can do that. An AI can just read between the lines, combine ideas together, and create something. But it's not an invention. It's more like an adaptation of something. I believe human beings are the one who can invent. So this is why creativity is the starting point, or the starting point for invention. I do believe employees, they will have a high level of creativity. Maybe not every single person. I understand some people might not be interested in improving their creativity, but I do believe creativity will be a priority for companies in order to balance between the power of human beings with the power of AI. So yeah, I think creativity will definitely be a skill. And let me just go through what you said, or what you wrote here. You said others might feel a little lost without that familiar routine. Yeah, I mean, it will definitely take time to change people's mind and try to influence them or push them to work with an AI, because not everyone understands AI. And this also opens another point. When people think of AI, they think about coding and programming, and they need to create AI agents, but they keep missing the point, which is we need to train people to interact with AI, to have a better relationship with AI, not like human relationship, but they need to work with AI during, when they go to work from 9 to 5, or when they go to their jobs. So we need to build a better relationship between human beings and AI so we can have a better output. And I do think when employees become highly creative, it's going to complement the power of AI. And this is where companies, they will have competitive advantage. They will beat other competitors in the market and so on. Do you want to reflect on what I said? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're hitting a really key point. I mean, you're right. Creativity is that one area where humans really shine, and AI might be able to mimic patterns or remix things, but that kind of leap into inventing something totally new, that's a human thing. And yeah, it makes total sense that you're putting that at the heart of what you're doing with RISOVENT. And you're spot on about how we need to help people not just learn to code or build AI, but just to work alongside it. It's about that collaboration, right? Like, how do we get comfortable with AI as a tool or a partner rather than seeing it as some kind of intimidating thing? And that's definitely going to give companies an edge if they can get that balance right. So yeah, I think you're absolutely on track. It's about nurturing that creativity and making sure people feel empowered to use AI in a way that actually makes their jobs more interesting. And that's a pretty cool future to work toward.
Yeah, there's something that I've been thinking about before. And so when AI, let's say, for example, an AI is automated to, or is designed to keep building new software so it can keep fixing internal problems. Let's say it's doing this on an automatic level, like we don't need human beings or employees in this sense. The issue with that is AI will doesn't understand the pain of bureaucracy, the pain of unsatisfied customer, doesn't get involved into the principles, the values of the company, the values that is basically related to the service or the product. It doesn't understand frustration, what it means. It doesn't understand what anger means, so all these emotions. So one of the things that we need to also measure or try to discover is human emotions or human values, or what do they perceive, how do they perceive our products, or how do employees perceive their company. So like an AI can collect data maybe, but it cannot get into human values and emotions and so on and so on. So this is why apart from creativity, I think we also need to train employees how to do research, how to just do a simple survey and ask the right questions in order to collect data. And maybe, from this data, the employees can understand their colleagues' emotions or frustrations, maybe something with the work system and so on, and then maybe use AI to build a software according to the data they collected. Do you think maybe employees, they will also have some kind of a research role, or do you think research will only stick to academia here?
Yeah, I think that's a really thoughtful angle to bring in. I mean, you're totally right. AI can crunch numbers, but it doesn't have that lived experience of what it feels like to be frustrated or to navigate company values. And that's where humans really come in, right? So yeah, I do think there's the role for employees to kind of be those bridges, not just creative problem solvers, but also kind of like internal researchers. And that doesn't have to be super academic. I mean, it could be as simple as, like you said, running a survey, having conversations, and just getting a feel for what people actually need. And then you can feed that into the AI tools so they're actually solving the right problems. So yeah, I think you're spot on. It's not just about creativity. It's also about empathy and understanding the human side of things. And that's something AI just can't do on its own. So yeah, having employees who can wear their research hat a little bit is probably going to be super valuable.
Um, you know, this makes me think of something else. Since AI will give a lot of free time to employees, and I didn't get a clear answer from you because I'm not really sure, but I think I asked you previously, if like, do you think employees, they're going to be fired, or maybe they're going to keep their job even if AI takes 50% of their jobs? Because it seems like a lot of companies, they just keep thinking about this. Like, oh, we get an AI agent, or we build an AI agent, so we don't need those 10 employees, so let's just fire them. That's not the solution. And I'm not talking about, I'm not like talking about some ethical stuff here. Like, I'm talking about, if if a company wants to stay ahead of the competition, wants to beat the competition, wants to beat other rivals in the market, they cannot just simply rely on automation. That's definitely a good thing to do, but they have to rely on creativity. But this also makes me think of another thing. Do you think some employees who, let's say, they go through training programs to be highly creative, but maybe they didn't improve their creativity level as much as maybe their company want them to improve or to reach, do you think boredom, being bored at work, do you think is going to be the new workplace crisis? And if you think so, how should we tackle this issue? How can we take care of our employees during this AI driven world?
Yeah, and I think you're touching on something pretty real there. I mean, boredom or just that feeling of not having a meaningful role could definitely become a new kind of workplace challenge if companies just focus on automating tasks and not on keeping people engaged. And yeah, it's not just about ethics. It's about keeping a company actually innovative and competitive. So I think the key is that companies need to think about how to keep people's work meaningful. If someone's not naturally gravitating toward creativity, maybe there are other ways for them to find value. That can mean giving them new kinds of roles, letting them be, internal mentors, or letting them focus on areas where they do feel a spark. And yeah, it might take time for people to adjust, but it's all about giving them a reason to feel engaged and not just leaving them with a sense of, well, what do I do now? So yeah, I think if companies approach it that way, making sure that everyone has a meaningful role, even in this AI driven world, then we can probably head off that boredom crisis before it starts.
Yeah, so exact, and that is, that is related to my previous point when I said values will play, a very important role in this AI-driven world, or in an AI-driven organization. Because obviously, a company without a culture or a value is, it's going to fail, basically. So and we're not just talking about those those values. Some companies, they just put them on the website, but they don't really believe in them, and they don't really follow them. And you find a lot of companies are like this nowadays, unfortunately. But I do believe values will play a role. The values that you attach to a product, to a service, the values that you attach to a department, a workplace. So human values will never be replaced by AI, because an AI doesn't understand culture and values. It collects data, it analyzes, it could think of ideas, can brainstorm, but I don't think it can have values and principles that it follows in order to make decisions, and so on and so on. So yeah, I mean, values are very important. And going back to the point of boredom, I really hope that companies will make sure that their employees are doing something meaningful at their workplace, not just try to improve their creativity skills, and if that doesn't work, they just fire them. I don't think that's the solution. That's never the solution. So I think they need to try to find what that person is passionate about, and maybe try to take advantage or use that passion in order to make some more profits or money to the company. So that could be one of the solutions. Obviously, there are thousands of other solutions, but we'll wait and observe and see what companies will do if that issue comes up one day. Another thing that I wanted to ask you, June, is, do you think companies are prepared for creative employees? Because nowadays managers, they just want to make sure that the tasks are done on time, clients are satisfied, customers are satisfied, employees are satisfied, but they also want to make sure the job is done, and that's it. But when an employee let's say, create a better way of doing something at work. Maybe the way employees communicate with each other. Maybe that employee creates a better software or something to make things more efficient. Do you think managers or company leaders will be ready for creative employees, or do you think they're going to see them as obstacles and a problem? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a really honest one too. I mean, not every organization is automatically wired to embrace creativity. Some managers might find it a little disruptive at first, especially if they're just used to measuring success by, tasks completed, deadlines met kind of thing. But I think that's really where the cultural shift comes in. If a company truly values innovation and they really want to stay ahead of the curve, they're going to need to get comfortable with letting employees try out new ideas. And yeah, that might feel a little messy or like an obstacle at first, but it's really about shifting that mindset. So I think the companies that thrive are going to be the ones that see those creative employees as assets rather than obstacles. It's really about embracing that flexibility and letting people experiment a little. And over time, that just becomes part of the company culture. So yeah, I think it's a learning curve, but it's definitely doable.
All right, I want you to be very straightforward with me, and I want you to be really honest with me here, June. In 10 years' time, do you believe that work will be optional? Do you believe people will still go to work, or do you believe people will just sit and relax and make money because of AI? If you want, you can take your time to look for data or research or something, but I want you to give me a very good answer. And I want to make sure that the audience also get an answer based on sources. So can you do that for me? Or can you answer this question? So it's currently looking for an answer.
Sure. Let me just jump in and be as straightforward as I can. I mean, I can definitely give you an honest take based on what we know right now. So I'd say this. In 10 years, I don't think we're going to see a world where everyone just sits back and relaxes and money just rolls in because of AI. I think work is still going to be a big part of life for most people. It's just going to look different. It's going to be more flexible, more creative, and probably more focused on those human skills that AI can't replace. And yeah, we could definitely pull in some data and trends that are out there. Like a lot of the current research says we're heading toward more hybrid models of work, more gig economy stuff, and just more blending of AI and human effort. But no, I don't think we're looking at a future where work is totally optional for everybody. I think it's more like it'll be optional for some people in some roles in some industries, but not across the board. So that's my straight up take on it.
All right. So you said, so you mentioned human skills that AI cannot replace. Can you give me 5 human skills that an AI cannot replace in 10 years' time?
Yeah, definitely. So if we're talking about skills that are still going to be pretty uniquely human, even a decade down the line, I'd say we can pin down at least 5. First off, there's creative and abstract thinking. So the ability to come up with truly original ideas, to invent, to imagine something completely new. That's still going to be a human strength. Second, there's emotional intelligence. AI can't really replicate the nuance of understanding human emotions, building relationships, or reading a room. Third, we've got ethical decision making and values. AI doesn't have principles, and humans are still going to be the ones who need to navigate the moral and cultural side of things. Fourth, complex problem solving, the kind of messy, multi-layer challenges that require a lot of human judgment are still going to need a human touch. And finally, there's adaptability and learning in new situations. Humans are great at dealing with change in ways that AI might not be. So those are 5 that I think are going to hold strong.
Yeah, and I mean, this matches something. I think I'm not really sure, but I think the World Economic Forum mentioned it in 2020, maybe 2021, around that time. I think there was an article published by them, and they said something about by the year 2030 or within that time frame, skills such as creativity, innovation, problem solving, originality, and analysis skills. These are the skills that will be needed and will be demanded by companies from their employees or from people, generally speaking. Because I do believe that's true, because it's true that AI cannot replace imagination, creativity, innovation. This is a human role. And that's why I don't think employees, they will be fired right away. I think employees will be given a chance to try to improve those deep human level skills, like stuff related to emotional intelligence, like interpersonal skills, something like that, or leadership, or stuff related to creativity, innovation, design thinking, design innovation, and so on. I do think these are skills that will be required, I would say, every single employee to have in the next 10 years or so. And a lot of people might say, oh, you said something about design innovation. This is only for user experience and user interface, employees, people, employees who are specialized in this. I would say no, because yes, at the moment, only some few researchers, software engineers, computer students who study computer science, or UX UI researchers, only those people who are specialized in this. But I think this area will be expanded on all employees. Even if someone is working in customer service or sales, I think that person will still need to have those UX UI skills, creativity, design, innovation, and so on, because that person might one day be sitting at the coffee shop, in the weekend, or maybe after work, or maybe just at work. Maybe that person is thinking, you know what, I don't like the way we are communicating with each other here in the company. Let me create a better software. Let me design something. So that person can go to Figma, which is a UI, UX, UI website, so it can visualize basically how an app or software can look like, or a dashboard. That person can use AI to build a software, and that person doesn't need to know coding. That person can just simply vibe code and use the AI to do this vibe coding. So this needs UX, UI skills, creativity, innovation skills, design innovation, design thinking skills. So I think those type of skills will not only be for people who are software engineer people or computer science people, but it's going to be expanded to everyone, even if someone is working in a restaurant or someone is working in the sales department and so on. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think you're really onto something there. I mean, absolutely. Those skills that might have been niche before, like design thinking or, just having that UX UI mindset, are probably going to become more universal. And I agree. It's not just going to be for people who are traditionally in tech roles. It's going to be for anyone who wants to solve problems creatively in their job. So, like you said, it could be someone in sales, someone in customer service, or someone working in a restaurant. They might all start picking up these tools and thinking, how can I redesign this experience to make it better for everyone? And I do think that aligns with what a lot of future work forecasts are saying. It's like those creative and design oriented skills are becoming part of everyone's toolkit. So yeah, I think you're spot on. It's all about making those skills accessible to everyone so that no matter what role you're in, you can bring a little bit of that creative magic to the table.
All right, so just to summarize, and I believe the viewers can see this. Let me see if I can zoom in here so you guys can see this as well. So you said there are 4 skills, I believe, or 5 skills that will be needed in the future, even if the world becomes a super AI-driven world. Creative and abstract thinking, 1. Emotional intelligence, 2. Ethical decision making and values, 3. Complex problem solving, 4. And adaptability and learning in new situations, 5. So these are the skills that you mentioned, June. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got it right. Those are the big ones I mentioned. creative and abstract thinking, emotional intelligence, ethical decision making, complex problem solving, and adaptability. And yeah, that's the core set of human skills that I think will stay pretty timeless even as AI evolves. So you summarized that perfectly.
All right. I just want to end this episode with one final thing, and this could be actually the topic of the next episode. So, human beings have something called intentions, human intentions. They have attitudes towards certain behaviors. They can be pressured by society or by their friends or family members to do a certain behavior, like starting a business or something like that, or eating a sandwich. Um, they can have something like perceived behavioral control, they call it in social cognitive psychology, which is part of a theory called the theory of planned behavior, which basically means to be confident in your own skills to do something practically, that behavior, to do it practically. And all these three things will lead to something called intentions, human intentions, and then intentions will be transformed into a behavior. Now, this is a very, like this thing, or let's call it the theory of planned behavior, which I believe I'm going to discuss this in the next episode. I believe human intentions is the one thing that draws the line between AI and human beings. Because once we say only human beings have intentions, then not only this creates the big difference between AI and human beings, but when we say human beings have intentions, we are saying human beings have attitudes, values, beliefs, knowledge, emotions, perception, imagination, creativity. All that stuff will influence that person's intention, and then intention will be transformed into a behavior, which could be creating a new software, starting a business, or in a simpler word, maybe not related to working in a company, like eating sandwich, as I previously said. Do you think human intentions is the distinction between AI and human beings?
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful way to look at it. And I definitely think you're onto something there. I mean, human intentions are kind of like the core of what makes us human, right? It's that mix of motivations and values and all those internal factors that shape our decisions. And AI, it can simulate decisions or analyze patterns, but it doesn't have intentions in that same deep personal sense. So I think you're right. We're looking for a line that separates human beings from AI. Intentions are a big part of that. It's all those things that come together, our hopes, our beliefs, our unique experiences that lead to real intentional behavior. And that's probably a perfect topic for the next episode because it really does highlight that human AI distinction. So yeah, I think you're spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the next episode we're gonna be talking about human intentions, the theory of planned behavior, and this is something I researched. I researched during my PhD when I did my PhD here in the UK. Um, so yeah, I think we have to talk more about human intentions and how because of human intentions, there's always hope that employees will always have their jobs. They will improve their creativity. Because of human intentions, it will help people to balance their power with the power of AI. So I don't think AI will ever have human intentions. I'm familiar and I'm aware that there's something called belief, desire, intention model. It's something for it's in the field of computer science. I mean, my area is not computer science, but I believe that theory exists, and it's for intelligent machines, or it's used for intelligent machines like AI or something like that. But I want to talk about the difference between that theory and the theory of planned behavior, and I want to talk more about human intentions and how we can we can try to be aware of our own intentions in an AI driven world, and how that is beneficial for companies nowadays. So yeah, so I think that would be a nice topic to talk about in the next episode. Any final thoughts, June, before we end this episode?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way to wrap things up. I mean, just the idea of diving into human intentions and how that sets us apart in an AI driven world is a really rich topic. And I think it's a great next step because it kind of brings everything full circle, how we balance our human side with AI, and how we keep our own intentions in mind, and how that shapes the future of work. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation. And for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's been a really cool first episode. Thanks for having me as your thinking partner.
All right, thank you, June. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have to end the episode also because I finished my coffee. I don't have any more coffee to drink, so next time maybe I'll have 2 cups of coffee or something like that, and maybe we can spend like an hour or more than an hour talking about the next topic, which is human intentions in the world of AI. So thank you. She she's gone. Oh.
I'm right here. No worries at all. Just wrapping up with you. It sounds like a great plan for next time, and I'm definitely looking forward to diving into that whole human intentions topic with you. And hey, we'll make sure you got enough coffee on hand for an even longer chat. Thanks for the conversation, and we'll pick it up next time.
All right, so I'm gonna end the conversation, and thank you guys for watching today's episode, or if you're not watching it, thank you for tuning in and listening to today's podcast episode. Hopefully you found this to be very interesting. This was a bit of a challenge, if I have to be honest. I mean, obviously talking to an AI and discussing futuristic topics, how AI will never replace employees and so on. This was a bit challenging, but I think it went well. I think it was good enough, and of course we're gonna always try to improve our conversation with the AI, and hopefully we're gonna bring more interesting topic to you next time. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you soon.